The state of Idaho has not been spared from the opioid epidemic wreaking havoc on states across the country.
The number of overdoses on the rise. The number of arrests on the rise. The amount of drugs seized off Idaho's highways, yeah, you guessed it, on the rise. 6 on Your Side's Karen Laird joins us with more on where these drugs are coming from in tonight's Finding Hope.
While some drug users are getting high on prescription painkillers picked up at their local pharmacy, many others are turning to heroin. And as I found out, most of that is entering our communities from Utah.
Every single day, somebody's tripping to Utah and bringing back heroin.
The #1 drug problem plaguing state police is trafficked into Idaho communities 7 days a week.
It's becoming more and more frequent.
5 years ago, we were seeing almost none, and right now, it's the biggest problem that we have in southeast Idaho.
Opioids, highly addictive and potentially fatal.
We can see anywhere from users to have the tiniest amounts to the traffickers that have ounces, and up to pounds of it.
Most drug-related investigations changing with the times, shifting focus from methamphetamine to heroin.
Is there anything illegal in your car?
It started a couple years ago in small quantity stuff. Started with points, which is 1/10 of a gram. Now it's moved on past that into grams and ounces, and we've seen a couple different cases where people are bringing in a ½ pound to a pound of heroin at a time.
From 2011 to 2016, state police saw a 958% increase in the number of heroin-positive items tested by state labs.
We're dealing with several of these instances every week.
The highest amounts coming from Ada County.
Out of my last 6 evaluations, 4 of those have come up with some sort of opiate in their system.
But where are the drugs coming from? Turns out most are transported into the state from Utah.
The vast majority of the cases that we work is being sourced out of Salt Lake City.
ISP officials say somebody can just drive down to Salt Lake City, buy about a gram of heroin for $50, then drive that same amount back into Idaho and sell it for at least 3 times that amount.
2 hours each way, yeah, so a 4-hour round trip, and they could double their money.
When it comes to heroin trafficking, that's anything more than 2 grams. The number of state lab cases more than doubled between 2015 and 2016. Canyon County seeing the highest rate increase, but falls 4th in the state behind Ada, Bannock, and Kootenai counties.
We don't have enough people, money, or manpower to work all the heroin cases that we could work.
Come here.
Corporal Tyler Shireman and his K-9 Bingo in Pocatello assist in traffic stops throughout District 5, often leading to drug-related arrests.
We ran the dog around. Dog alerted on the driver's door, jumped in, and then right here on the, underneath the driver's seat area. So 1 shoebox in there that just has 1 baggie in it that's torn on the corner. But
police say their opioid problems don't end with heroin. According to the CDC, for every 100 people in the gem state, there are 86 painkiller prescriptions.
I know it's prescription medication, but people are obtaining these for illicit use, basically using it to get high and not in accordance to a prescription. Most of the times they're not even prescribed the medication.
CDC officials say 46 people die from prescription painkiller overdoses each day in the United States, and sadly some of those are in Idaho. Many law enforcement agencies now arming officers with Narcan, a nasal spray that counteracts the life-threatening effects of an opioid overdose.
Mostly young, 18 to 25-year-old kids, and we're having a significant number of overdoses and deaths resulting from heroin and opioid use.
Meridian police officer Jake Simon says he personally sees many of those users then take the wheel.
And it is scary to think of the amount of impairment I can see in somebody on heroin or a heavy dose of an opiate. It's scary to think that they would get behind the wheel of a 3, 4, 5, 6,000 pound vehicle and drive down the road.
Impacts to the public stretch beyond the scope of road safety, also leading to an uptick in crime.
Either through a petty theft, a minor theft situation, or even vehicle burglaries, they're using these types of situations to fund their habit.
A growing problem, police say, shows no signs of slowing down. In Idaho, heroin also carries mandatory minimum sentences. That means if you're caught with more than 2 grams, you'll face at least 3 years in prison and a minimum $10,000 fine. Depending on the amount in possession, offenders could face up to life in prison. Reporting in studio, I'm Karen Laird, 6 on Your Side.